Well, we've knocked out. This is the 95th county. We'll end up 98 by the end of today, and so we've done what we've said. I think people appreciate you showing up, and we got a great turnout here this morning, and we're just going to keep powering through with all this. But we're excited about all the progress.
Governor, the last three winners of the Republican caucus in Iowa have not gone on to win the nomination. What do you think makes this cycle any different?
Well, look, I think every cycle is different, and it's true. Some people win some primaries, don't win others, and can still win. Some have won them and then not, and I think that's been true. I think a lot of convention typically gets upended, but I think in this situation, you have a narrative develop about a former president who's in the race, and this is the first shot at the voters actually being able to weigh in. You can have people that are pundits, you can have people that are trying to say these things, but what's the question is, what do the voters say? And I think this is going to be important for that reason, so I'm excited about it.
Governor, a man at the Indianola event yesterday, he asked you, it said it was personal, about what's your message to women who feel that abortion restrictions are taking away their rights? I was wondering if you could answer that a little bit more directly, your message to women specifically.
Well, I think so in Iowa, for example, Iowa has enacted legislation to protect the rights of the unborn, and they've made that decision when there's a detectable heartbeat. Other states have done similar, some have done even broader, and some, of course, have been more liberal. So these are things that, in the advent of the Dobbs decision, people are going to be working out, particularly on local and state levels, and people in Iowa or in Ohio came into voice, but I think ultimately you're standing for what you think is right.
So your PAC and the campaign have devoted significant resources here in Iowa. If you don't come in first, how do you catch up in the next
We're going to be good. Don't worry about it. We're going to be good, yes.
Governor, some recent polling has shown Nikki beating Joe Biden by a wide margin in general election matchup versus you and Trump. Are you worried about the effect that could have on undecided voters or even voters who might be swayed by those?
No, because I think our voters know, there were polls coming out in my most recent election that had me winning by 2 or 3 points, within 2 weeks of the election. I won by 1.5 million votes. I won by 20 points. And so I think the one thing is clearly we would beat Biden. I think that's for sure. But what I would tell people is, as you're evaluating candidates, if that's something you want to look at their past performance. Because you're not all of a sudden going to perform much differently. So I won the biggest election victory that any Republicans ever won for governor in my state's history. Nikki Haley was on the ballot in South Carolina, a blood red state, in red wave years and underperformed. Way underperformed what I did in Florida and underperformed the national environment. I think some of the positions she's taking, she's not getting hit. The media is lifting her up right now. The Democrats are going to eventually do this. The media will turn on her at the appropriate time. But, talking about drilling in the Florida Everglades, she would lose Florida taking that position. Talking about day one in office, she's going to force people to give their names on social media. That's a massively defective position and very unpopular with respect to that. Her China activism, by bringing so much Chinese Communist Party money into her state, is something that is going to be totally out of bounds for a lot of people here throughout the country. So I would not put much stock, but I would look at past election performances. You can look at the former president, how he's performed. They're not going to all of a sudden see radically different stuff. I mean, I see some of these polls, he's going to win voters under 30. No, that's not going to happen.
Governor DeSantis, on immigration, on the trail, you've talked about the state of emergency you declared in Florida, your efforts to stop Cuban refugees coming to Florida by boat. 5 years ago, it would have been crazy for a Florida governor to talk out loud about stopping Cubans.
Well, we're stopping everybody, to be fair. I mean, there's more than just that.
You've mentioned Cubans and Haitians specifically. So what do you think has changed politically that's allowed you to talk about that and win Miami-Dade?
Because people realize this government is out of control, that they are not doing their basic function to maintain adequate security of our borders. And the Coast Guard actually does a good job. They're undermanned in South Florida, so we've put people to help supplement that. But I think it's against the backdrop of this large issue of 8 million people coming in the last less than 3 years. I mean, this is a massive problem. Every community's become a border community because the fentanyl is going into all these different places. I will say this, though, if you look at the immigration reforms we did earlier this year, that has had an impact on Florida. When people come across the border now, when I had people there 2 years ago, a huge percentage of them, like a third of them, were telling our people that Florida was their preferred destination. Why not? Everyone else wanted to go to Florida. Right now, when my guys are down there, they're telling me nobody is saying Florida, because I think they know that we're serious about this problem, and we've put in policies that will deter illegal immigration coming in to our country. And oh, by the way, when we did things like E-Verify, I had a lot of people in the media saying, oh, you know, they're not going to be able to do all this stuff. We just put out the jobs on Friday. We got a big increase in construction employment. So rule of law works, a legal workforce works, and we've also protected our citizens from being a magnet for people coming into this country illegally. That's leadership, and that works.
Thank you, guys.